Skyfly51 here, and today we're going to be changing the idler pulley, which is right here on my 97 Grand Cherokee. This is got the straight 6 4.0 liter engine, and as you can see, here's the AC compressor. Here's our idler pulley right here. Mine is starting to go bad. Makes a bit of a whistling, grinding sound every so often, so we're going to get it replaced. So tools you're going to need for this job is just a basic socket set. You're going to need a 15 mil socket for starters, and you're also going to want to have a nice long extension or a couple of extensions. I got this one here and then a shorter one right here. So the first thing you guys are going to want to do is you need to get your serpentine belt loose. That's done by going right down here. You got to take this pulley bolt loose. This is your tensioner pulley right below the power steering. So you're going to take this bolt loose, and then right up here underneath, right next to the temperature sensor, there's that bolt right there, and you're going to have to loosen that to adjust the tension. One good thing to note is that you want to be careful if the engine's hot, like mine is, since I just got back from work. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen my belt and come back. Gotten this loose. One thing to note is that this pulley bolt, you don't need to get it very loose. Maybe 1 or 2 turns out. I mean, just to break loose, ratchet on a little bit. You just don't need it very loose, just a little wiggle. And then, so now that that's just a little loose, then you just want to take and loosen this up, your adjuster. Okay, for me it took 7 turns. So when I come to reinstall the belt, I will just tighten it back down 7 turns, or else you just want to check how much play is in the belt when you go to retension it. This is obviously way too loose. I believe this is loose enough I can slip it off of the air conditioning, although maybe not. So I'm going to give it, I'll go probably to 10 turns and then check it. I ended up putting 13 turns on that. So now I'm just going to take the belt and get it off from around the AC compressor. There we go. Alright, so you want to just try to keep it on as many pulleys as you can. It'll probably rest on the power steering there pretty good. I have to get it down out of the way a little bit here. And now we're going to be going after this bolt on the idler right here. Okay. And we're going to get that removed. I got this off now with our bolt, and I'm sure as you all may or may not have figured out from now, getting it out from underneath there past this shield, the AC, and this upper radiator hose and all such is a bit of a trick, but it's not too bad. Easy way to tell if this is bad. I don't know if y'all are going to be able to hear it on camera, especially with cars going by and that, but it does make a fair little bit of noise when you just spin it with your hand. So, which would indicate that the bearings is shot compared to this new one I just picked up at AutoZone, which makes absolutely 0 noise when you spin it and is significantly harder to spin. So what I am going to do is just use a little bit of, I just got this contact cleaner. I'm just going to clean the grime off this little shoulder washer here that the pulley rides on. So that way it's nice and clean and free of any dirt. You can use just about anything you want for that. I'm just using this because it will cut through the petroleum and that. And then I'm just going to lube everything up with a little bit of Tri-Flow. You don't really need to. It's not necessary to lube the bearings in your new one or anything like that. I just figure what's the harm? I mean, because the pulley does ride on this and this does spin, and oil makes everything spin more freely. So this is just what I'm going to use. You don't have to. You can use some other lubricating product. Probably would not recommend using like a WD-40 or penny, or well, I guess not all penetrating oils have alcohol. I'm not too sure, but I just wouldn't use WD-40 with the alcohol. It doesn't make a very good lubricant for this kind of a situation. So that's what I'm going to do, and then we'll get to the reinstall. Got this little washer piece all cleaned up pretty good, and now I'm just going to get this reinstalled. I did lube it up with a little bit of Tri-Flow. Not that it probably does much of anything, but you know, why not, right? So you want to be careful which way you put this back on. It does go one way. As you can tell, it's dished out this way, so the bolt will go through here down into the block, and it'll sit right in the engine just like this. So I'm going to do that now and make sure I get that everything good and snug. Alrighty, now I got this nice new shiny tensioner on here. Be nice and careful that you get this very tight. I don't really think, you know, with reason and common sense, you can over tighten this just to get it nice and tight on there. Before you go retightening your belt, you want to check over, make sure it's on all the pulleys properly, and that everything is in place and seems like it's going to work good. I know I had a bit of difficulty getting this belt back on properly, as I did not take the tensioner maybe as loose as I should have, but I think everything is on there very good now. So I'm going to retighten and then just bump the starter, make sure everything's working good before I start it.